So I thought we'd do a little bit on what this is all about. Like, what are digital twins about, and how are they going to transform the property and technology industry? Why are we investing in this stuff?
Well, digital twins is not really a new concept. During the summit, I've spoken to quite a lot of our key presenters, and I've asked them a few questions. First one is always, what do you think a digital twin is, and how do we think digital twins are going to change, particularly our industry, the property industry? So what everybody needs to remember is digital twins have been around for decades. The aerospace industry, the automotive industry, particularly the manufacturing industry have been using them for a long time. I think what's really important to probably get in your head when you think about digital twins is there's lots of facets to that. You can be purely thinking about just an interesting visual representation of how...
So a visualization.
Yeah, like how real world objects work, right? You and I have had this conversation about the Jurassic Park problem, right? Flying through magic sort of, floaty 3D things. So that's one way you can really look at it. But one of the things that we've been trying to talk to people about, and one of the things that's really important about this Digital Twin Summit, is trying to bring in the definition of digital twins and anchoring them around the way that data flows into real world objects. So if you think about the building we're sitting in now, last time we talked quite a bit about the amount of data that this collects.
Where
so we
those
have
a million data points.
And how you represent those. How can you see lights are on, all these sort of things. And the other part as well is how can you use those to predict what might happen in the future? So one of the things our CEO Bill talks quite a bit about is this whole concept of automated buildings, right? Or prescient buildings or living buildings. So things, a digital twin should be able to imagine a world where a building could, phone up the maintenance guys and say, well, 6 of my air conditioners are going to need to be serviced in the next 10 days. Can you come out and, oh, by the way, I need you to come out on a Thursday because we don't have a lot of events on. So that whole intelligence, right? And it's all anchored really on this concept of creating a virtual representation of things that happen in the real world. And that's why data and how people move and the way people use things is really important, because a virtual object without the inputs or the context of what happens in the real world is pretty sterile, and you can't really see how they work.
Because visualizations have been around for a fair while, right? Like we use them in engineering, in construction, generally to help people understand what a physical manifestation of something is going to be. Right? This is a whole game changer in a way, in the sense that you can now start to simulate and scenario test in real time the actual how a product or how a building is going to operate.
And that's really the key differentiator, that word simulate. So one of the reasons that people don't often use digital twins in a real world example is because it's hard to discover what's going to happen in the real world. So when you put 2 objects together in the real world and see how they're going to interact, you can look at them, right? You can work out what's going to happen. You can see that they're going to interact in a particular way. It's really hard to do that in the virtual world because there's no physics, there's no effect, there's no wind, there's all those things. So simulation is a really interesting layer that we can put on top of digital twins to really help predict what's going to happen in the future and maybe work out ways that it doesn't as well.